So, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for staying now. First of all, I want to say thank you to the GA group for organizing this wonderful event, and my colleague Benjamin Aoyang who have invited me to come and share with you the work my team and I have been doing. My name is Monica Nirmala. I come from Indonesia. Yesterday, as Mr. George Abraham talked about diaspora, I started to think, maybe I'm a diaspora too. My great-grandparents came from China to Indonesia, but please don't ask me where, because I have no idea. So I'm a Chinese descent, live in Indonesia, but I cannot speak Mandarin. I cannot write my name in Chinese letters, and I'm not rich. So people tell me that I'm a fake Chinese. So anyway, I come from a non-profit sector, so I'm not from business. This is the work that we do. We call it Saving Rainforests with a Stethoscope. So I come from Indonesia, from the island of Borneo, or Kalimantan. I have come to visit you from this beautiful, amazing rainforest that's still intact on our planet. And I live in the town of Sukadana, right at the border of this rainforest that we call Gunung Palung National Park. Borneo has experienced the fastest rate of deforestation the world has ever known. And in my place in Gunung Palung National Park, deforestation is mostly caused by illegal logging. And sometimes at the back of the clinic where I work, I could hear that hated sound, the sound of a chainsaw. So it was easy for me to hate the loggers and assume they were just evil people who cut down the trees. But I had gotten to know many of these men. And the truth is they were actually trapped in an impossible situation. Imagine for a moment that you had a child as beautiful as one of these. Wouldn't you do anything for them? But if they got seriously sick, of course you want to take them to a doctor. But if you are a rice farmer and you only grow a little more than you need to eat, then you only have very few ways to get money. And healthcare is one of the only things that you just have to have money, and you cannot wait until you have slowly collected the money. It's different. It's unlike most other things that you need cash for that you can wait. And sadly, one of the only ways to get fast cash for the people who live around Gunung Palung National Park is to illegally cut down trees in the park. I have a neighbor, his name is Pak Sofyan. He cut down 60 trees to pay for one C-section. These trees eventually are worth tons of money, but for those people who cut it, they only get tens to a few $100s per tree. And the thing is, Pak Sofyan knows that the forest is critical for his well-being. It is very important for the future well-being of his family. Like many other people, he talks about the forest as his mother. He sees the forest as the watershed that provides water to his family and to his rice fields that feeds his family. And he also has a cultural understanding that cutting down trees leads to diseases. And there's research that shows a much higher rate of malaria-carrying mosquitoes in logged versus unlogged forests. So the research actually supports his cultural understanding. And in our survey, we found out that actually 99% of the people there wanted the forest to be there for future generation. And surprisingly, 100% of the illegal loggers actually wanted to quit. But if a family member is sick, what choice do they have? What choice do any of us have? So one of our co-founders, Dr. Nirmala, recognized this problem 23 years ago when she first came to Kalimantan, to Borneo, to study orangutan. And then after recognizing this problem, after getting this vision, she returned to the US and then getting her medical degree and doing specialty in family medicine. And then 10 years ago, she returned to Indonesia and started this combined healthcare and conservation program together with an Indonesian dentist named Dr. Hotlin Onpusunggu. So this is who we are. I work for an Indonesian local NGO named Yayasan Alam Sehat Lestari, or what we usually call ASRI. We have a partner in the US, a non-profit organization in the US named Health in Harmony. And we are located in West Borneo, Gunung Palung National Park, where there are around 60,000 to 65,000 population live at the border of the park. And 9 years ago, illegal logging was everywhere. So in the beginning, we didn't know how to stop this rampant illegal logging. But there was one thing that we knew for certain, that the answer did not lie with us. I had been taught to think in boxes. But actually the people who will understand all the interconnections of the problems and how to bring about change were obviously people who were experiencing the problem. So we asked them. In the first year, we spent 400 hours listening to the people who live around the park. We asked them just one question. This is the question. You all are guardians of a precious rainforest that is valuable to the whole world. What would you need as a thank you from the world community in order to protect the park? So, surprisingly, the people from many different villages came up with consensus. The first thing that they asked for was high quality and affordable healthcare. And second thing that they asked was training in organic farming. The second request was quite surprising for us. So they explained it this way. The traditional form of doing agriculture there is slash and burn, that worked well when there was still lots of forests and not so many people. But it doesn't work anymore. So we heard it was possible to plant just in one place without using expensive chemical fertilizer. Would you please teach us? That's what I asked. So that's how we started a sustainable agriculture program. So besides providing alternative livelihoods to the people, this program is essentially climate change adaptation and builds resilience to the impacts of climate change. I have one example. So food security was also one of the issues that the farmers in one of our village suffered last year when the fire season happened. So their palm oil burned down during the fire season. And some of them had to move back to Java because they are trans migrants, and because they just had no money and nothing to eat. So, but there are also people who survive. So those ones who survived well in the area were actually the ones who were actively growing organic vegetables around their homes. Let me come back to the first request that they asked. High quality healthcare. So how do we provide high quality healthcare in remote part of Indonesia? So we hire young Indonesian doctors who just finished their medical school to work side by side with volunteer professionals from top medical US institutions like Yale and Stanford. So they come as a volunteer, they pay their own way, and then they provide 3 hours of training to our young Indonesian doctors. So that's how we make it high quality. And then, yeah, this is just the picture. Dr. Iwan from Stanford was with Dr. Nomi from Aceh. They were learning together. It's actually Dr. Nomi who was teaching Dr. Iwan, not the other way around. And as you can see, learning is a lifelong thing, and then we all have something to learn from each other. And then, how do we make it affordable? So in our clinic, the patients can pay with all kinds of non-cash means. So like in this picture, patients can pay with seedlings that later we use for reforestation site. And then they could also pay with manure that we later use for organic farming training. And then they also can pay with beautiful traditional handicrafts like the bracelet that I wear. We could sell them to pay for medicine. And also labor to make the work we do cheaper. I am a dentist, and I have a patient who pays his denture with seedlings. And to further conservation, encouraging conservation, villages that stop logging get a 70% discount at our clinic. So everyone can pay with barter, but with the system, non-logging villages can pay with fewer barter items. And in this way, men like Pak Sofyan, my neighbor, can put down their chainsaw. And he doesn't need to log the trees to pay for healthcare. And with this system also, individuals and organizations like all of us here who care about preserving and restoring the forest could subsidize the healthcare for the community. Because the thing is, we don't have to choose between these two adorable ones. In fact, the way to save baby orangutans may be to save baby humans, or vice versa. So in order to understand our impact, we conducted a baseline survey and another one 5 years later to over 1,300 households. And then for health, after only 5 years, everything we want to go down is going down. The number of infant deaths per 100 households declined from 3.4 to 1.1. And that's a dramatic drop. Fever, diarrhea, and cough lasting for more than 3 weeks, which in our area is often tuberculosis, also declined. Even births per mother went down. And that's health. How about conservation? So we estimated that when we started in 2007, there were 1,350 illegal logging households. Within 5 years, we witnessed a significant decline, down to an estimated 450 logging households. Even now, this year, we're actually able to count the loggers. It is down to 180, and we know them by name. So we just started a new initiative called Chainsaw Buyback Program. And with that program, our goal is to get this number close to 0. And what are the previous loggers are doing now? If you can see from this graph, 52% are farming. So they know the solutions. At a speech at the 5 years anniversary party in our clinic, one of the village chiefs said to us, "In my village, there used to be over 100 loggers. Now there are less than 10. Because of the sustainable agriculture training, now loggers can become farmers without startup money for paying expensive chemical fertilizer." And this is another impact. I call this an orangutan selfie. Remember, at our clinic, patients can pay with seedlings. So we planted seedlings from the patients in one deforested area that connects two pieces of forest. So it was like a corridor of the wildlife to go back and forth to find food. And after 2 years of planting and protecting the forest from fire, we put on several wildlife camera traps. So there are some animals in the camera traps. And then we got many pictures, and one of them is this one. So we could see that the wildlife animals started using this corridor. So by looking at this picture, we could see that the forest grows back, the wildlife return, and patients are healed. So this is a win-win solution. So what is the impact of one site? We helped saved about 5,000 orangutans and also more than 60,000 patients now. And that's one of the local impact of protecting the forest. But there's also a global impact. Because if the entire park is to be logged, then it burned, which sadly logged forest usually does. The amount of carbon released will be equivalent to 1.5 years of Singapore pollution. So all of our salvations are intertwined. Because the truth is, the health of the rainforest in Borneo and the people who live around it matters to all our long-term health. And actually what every one of us does matters to everyone else. And we all have something to offer to the solution.
Yes.
Imagine how much more we could do if we had a system that could match community-driven solutions with global resources and knowledge that all of us have here, so that those solutions could be brought to fruition. If we all work together to promote life that God has given us in all its myriad and beautiful forms, I believe we could bring about a transformation to a just and sustainable future. With those roots, we could grow an amazing tree, because no one should have to choose between the health of the family or the health of the environment. So I hope you will join me in having this hope, because it truly isn't a human versus environment situation. Win-win solutions are possible. This is my team in Sukadana. They all send warm regards to you all. Thank you for your attention.